It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. I'm Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani. Rich, Jeff, and Ryan are in place. Ryan is the man you will speak to when you call in at 833-288-3986. And we do hope to hear from some of you who may have been trying to get on the air the last 2 days. Debbie, this is a part three of How Often Do You Think of Heaven? All right.
I know. Did you hear how abruptly Rich took off the show, the show theme? It just like all of a sudden disappeared.
I thought he took us off the air altogether for a minute there. Maybe I said something wrong.
I know. It was like, what happened to our song? Okay, yes, part three of How Often Do You Think of Heaven? And we want to hear from you. So if you were on the lines yesterday or the day before and you got cut off by the clock because the show ended, please call back at 833-288-3986. Tell Ryan you were hanging on the line, and he'll happily put you at the front of the line. Also, too, I just wanted to say to the Take Two family real quickly, if I may, Jerry, and just to do a little shout out if I can. And we're talking about heaven today. So this perfectly ties in because those of you know that I got my graduate degree in theology with my dear friend Jackie, who has just passed away yesterday. And it is just, I got to view her yesterday, Jerry, at the funeral home. And I'll tell you what, she had the most beautiful glowing look to her. It was unbelievable. I actually kind of shouted out a little with her family there. I said, "Oh my goodness, I think she made it." I mean, she looked so angelic, if you will, and it was amazing. And I just want to thank everybody for the prayers. And just a quick shout out. You know, we have many, many great priests around the world, and all of you who've taken on this wonderful calling to be a priest. Thank you. And it's during these times when death happens and things that are very, quick and tragic and gut wrenching and they're just emotional, when so many of the priests step up behind the scenes. And I just have to say this. I just got to do this because otherwise my conscience would bother me. I just want to say thank you to three very special priests in the Diocese of Phoenix: Monsignor Peter Bowie, Father John Greb, and Father Chad King. You are three amazing men who want to help the family, to support Jackie in her funeral arrangements and everything. And you've just been so kind to receive my repeated phone calls of trying to arrange Jackie's funeral. And another quick correction, Jerry. I said yesterday Jackie's family was not Catholic. Jackie is a convert. She was practicing Catholic, and her family, her children all received the sacraments and everything, was raised in the faith. It's part of her birth family and extended family that aren't Catholic. So it's kind of a mix. But I just wanted to say, when you have these wonderful, great priests that behind the scenes are trying to help in the healing, it's pretty amazing. Wouldn't you say, Jared? Well, you started Vocation Boom. I mean, you're all about the priesthood. Oh,
yeah. I thank God for all of our priests who really serve us, very, very selflessly, and our religious and so many other people, lay leaders in the church, our bishops. We're just so blessed. It's just such a great gift to be Catholic and have so many dedicated people behind us to support us in whatever is going on. So I'm so happy to hear about, not about Jackie's death, but about just the way that she looked, the way she appeared to you, Debbie. That's quite a blessing for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it just as in response to what we were talking about for these the past 2 days and now today about thinking about contemplating heaven, when you see something like that, when you see somebody who has passed, who is just resting so peacefully, you can almost just imagine that they're in the arms of Jesus. It does allow you to have those thoughts and lift your thoughts to heaven. And so that's what we want to ask you. How often do you contemplate heaven? Do you think about what it's going to be like? Or do you just get caught up in the fears of this world and you're not thinking bigger? And that's why I think this discussion this past couple days, Jerry, has been so helpful to all of us. I know we're getting a ton of response from our listeners saying thank you for doing these shows, because it's really helped, especially with all this hysteria that's going on in the world. I think focusing on heaven is the best mindset we could be in.
Yeah, many of you, as Debbie said, have been on the line. Friday, we did the first of these shows, and we didn't know there would be a part two, but we usually gauge that or base that upon your response and how many people we can't get to at the end of the program. And we have had full phone lines at the end of Friday's show and yesterday's show. So we're putting it out here. It will be the last of these episodes that we do for now, because we can't do a part 4 or 5 or 6 and on forever. But we want to give you a chance. If you were waiting on the line and didn't get through, you've got something beautiful to say, something important to say, because Debbie, the takes on these 2 shows that we've done already have been absolutely beautiful. So here is the number. We got a couple people being screened by Ryan right now, but there's room for you to get on. Even if you weren't waiting on the line yesterday or Friday, you can call in with your thoughts on heaven and how you anticipate what it might be like. Maybe it's taken the death of a loved one in your family or your circle of friends to get your mind sort of off of earth and toward heaven, and what that's going to be like for us. Here's the number. It's 833-288-3986.
Okay, again, 833-288-3986. We're saying it slowly because we've got some feedback from folks saying, say the number. You know, when we do pledge drives, we try to say it so slowly, but people still think it comes across pretty quickly. So we'll say it slowly. And if we do that, that means you have to call. We can't just say things slowly and then you just sit there. So 833-288-3986. If you have something to say about heaven, now is the time to call in on your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Speaking of priests and pastors, I once had a pastor who I was a lector in the parish, and when he trained us, he said, as soon as you think you're speaking too slow, he said, slow down a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
And it was true, because sometimes, you get a little bit nervous, when you're reading at Mass or even on a radio program. You think you need to fill the time. You can't have any dead space, any dead air. So something has to be coming out of your mouth every second. But it's not necessarily true. And of course, the best things that come out of anyone's mouths on this show is our listeners, Debbie, with their great takes. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, phone lines are starting to fill up, so you have things to say about heaven. I don't see some of the familiar names from yesterday, so if again, an invitation to you, if you were on the lines yesterday and time ran out, please call back. We want to hear from you. Okay, we got one that's on the line. That's good. You see, you guys are what a great Take Two family. You guys are awesome. 833-288-3986. How often do you contemplate heaven?
Now, here's a quote for you from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. Prayer is our weapon. It's the weapon for the world. Prayer is how we protect our souls. Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar with her reflections is available at EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com. Or you can call 1-800-854-6316. That's 1-800-854-6316.
I didn't take my faith seriously, which probably means I never really got it to begin with. No, I didn't want to give up sin. The reason we sin is because sin is fun. But it's self-love sin. But it's amazing with God's grace how easy trying to not sin it really is.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
We pray because we want to come into union with God. He wants to breathe His life into us, and we want to accept that life, because in accepting that life, we begin to experience the abundance that He has in mind for us to receive. Pray to God. Lift your praises high to God and present to Him every supplication that you might find the grace you need for the present moment that He presents to you. Everything good comes from prayer, says Mother Teresa of Calcutta, and so it is true.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie here on a Tuesday on EWTN Radio. I'm Jerry Usher with Debbie Georgianni and the show team, and thank you, affiliates, for carrying the program. We are grateful for that. A lot of things going on in today's world, and a lot of it is very, very ugly. There's still the beauty of our Catholic faith, and even the ugliness is presented through the lens of the beauty of our faith on EWTN News Nightly with Tracy Sable and the wonderful team that they have assembled there. 9 p.m. Eastern Time, again tonight and every weekday, every weeknight on EWTN television and radio. That's News Nightly, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Debbie, speaking of some of the craziness going on in the world right now, we're going to do a little change of pace and shift gears tomorrow from the topic that we originally had scheduled. You want to let people know what we're going to do starting tomorrow?
Starting tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the coronavirus because everybody else is. Every time you turn on the news, every time you pick up your phone, Facebook, everybody, it's just in our humble opinions, it's just mass hysteria. I mean, a friend of mine late last night sent me a picture of a Walmart in Arizona, and it was completely empty, the shelves of toilet paper. I cannot believe it. Completely. Empty. No more hand sanitizers, no more wet wipes, nothing. I mean, this is just it's just crazy. I'm sorry. It's just, and so we have to address it and talk about it to figure out, make sense of it. Wouldn't you say, Jerry?
Yeah, be thinking about that, Take Two family. We're just going to have a conversation about how you may be personally impacted by it, how you're, doing your very best to make sure that you're, practicing proper hygiene and keeping safe with you and your loved ones, and just really the whole scene that's going on out there. Half of the world being shut down. In fact, where I live right here, a tennis tournament that is often referred to as the fifth major. It's that big of a tennis tournament. 2 weeks with, Nadal and Federer and Djokovic and all of the big names. It was because I think we have 2 confirmed cases, both in isolation and hospitals. They have canceled that tournament, and that has sent shockwaves through the tennis and sports world, and it's going to bring about a $500 million hit to the economy here. And I'm not taking sides on whether it should have gone on or not, but this is the kind of thing that, we just want to talk about and see, what's going on. Do you feel safe even rolling your car out of your driveway nowadays, So anyway, should be a good conversation tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen anything like it, though. I mean, I'm thinking back in all the years I've been living in Arizona, and even with all of the major things that have happened in the world or even in our state here in Arizona, I've never seen the shelves completely, wiped out. I've never seen that at these major stores. I mean, this is really causing a lot of fear. And deep fears, to arise. And I wonder how healthy this is going to be for us long term. Real quickly, Jerry, the wonderful two priests I mentioned, Monsignor Peter Bowie and Father John Greb, as we are doing this show, okay, they are texting and helping to assist with Jackie's funeral arrangements. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You see, folks, please, when you want to criticize our priests, think about how many things they do behind the scenes to help others through difficult times. And they do it all the time. And they do it quietly with no fanfare, nothing. They don't want any attention. It's really a beautiful thing. So I would just, maybe today's a good day to call your priest or pastor and tell him thank you. What do you think, Jer?
Could not. It is always a good time to do that. And when we're on the air, it's always a good time to call 833-288-3986. This is part 3, the finale of our trilogy on how often you think of heaven and what comes to mind and what your thoughts are on that. So please fill up one of those. I've got one phone line open. And actually, Harold called in, was on the line yesterday and didn't get on. So we'll go to Harold first in Silver Spring, Maryland, listening on Guadalupe Radio on Alexa. Hi, Harold. Thanks for your great perseverance. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I was thinking, I called last month, actually, and I mentioned that I have physical disability, muscular dystrophy, and so it's a chronic debilitating disease, and I think about heaven a lot because of it, and I think about the resurrection of the body in particular, and how I will have that, everything will be restored, and my physical, all my limitations. I'll have, I'll be running around and even flying, in heaven, the new heavens and the new earth. I don't know how that's going to be, what that's going to be like exactly, but I think it's in a way simultaneously in heaven, earth. Like I don't know, it's just kind of mind-boggling to me to think about, and it's kind of like even scary at times to think about. But it's going to be really quite something, and to behold the face of God, especially, and I think about it as like the resurrection of the whole universe. Really, just wanted to share that.
Well, yeah, and Harold, we remember you, so thank you for calling again and sharing. And you are going through a lot here on Earth. Okay, you've got you started off saying with your physical disabilities and muscular dystrophy and but let's remember, okay, your contemplation of heaven is so beautiful and spot on. Okay, but this time you have here, given all that you've been given, okay, the good and the not so good, okay, it's a precious time. It's a precious time for you to help all of us, to help yourself. It's a precious time, and it's a brief time. And I just want to say, I join you in that beautiful vision of when all pain has ceased and all the disabilities and everything has gone away and everybody is in their perfect state, and it's just a beautiful thing to think of. But I always go back to this: if you're given a special cross, if you will, here on earth, use it wisely. And you are use it wisely, because this is the time to run the good race, fight the good fight, and use it to the best you can here, which I know you are, and then watch what the good Lord rewards, because our God is always faithful. So you see where I'm going with this, Jerry? I never want folks to ever skip over this precious time here on earth, because it's super difficult. Let's face it. It's difficult here to live. Okay. But it's a time that we need in preparation. What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Harold, God bless you. Thank you for your call. And I think, thoughts of death and dying often center around, the uncertainty, sometimes sadness, sometimes loss. These are all legitimate thoughts and feelings. But Harold, you were alluding to our glorified bodies. There's going to be unspeakable joy and gladness in heaven. And I think the more that we can kind of shake ourselves loose from being temporally minded, earth-minded in our thoughts and our thinking, and think more about God. And Jesus said, I go and prepare a place for you. And it's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful, glorious destination for all of us. If we can focus our minds more on that, which, Harold, it sounds like you have done, I think you're really leading by example here with your phone call. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I really do think that it makes life on Earth a little bit more precious in a way, like to appreciate it more as well. So it's like a win-win kind of thing.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Well, and let's keep in mind, Harold and Debbie, and all of us, the time that we have here on earth is an opportunity for us to take others to heaven with us. Let's face it, nobody goes to heaven alone. Nobody goes to hell alone. How we live our lives here, we're going to encourage and inspire other people one direction or the other. Let's make sure that it's in the direction of heaven and eternal life with God in glory forever. Thank you, Harold, for your phone call. Great to hear from you as always, and our prayers go with you. God bless you.
Yes, and please pray for us, Harold. Please do that, and the whole Take Two family. Thank you. I personally believe Harold's prayers go straight to heaven, real quickly, which is
can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
We mentioned tomorrow we're gonna have a topic which I suspect may go more than one episode. We're just going to ask, kind of take the pulse of you, the Take Two family, regarding your reaction to the coronavirus situation, how it's impacting you, and so forth. Debbie, our good friend Father John in my diocese of San Bernardino, just sent in a text. He says, Jerry, I'm glad you're going to have this topic. I just approached one of my ministries at a rest home, and I was told told that absolutely no visitors until the virus is over. And I texted back, you mean you can't even do priestly ministry there? He said, no. And where I volunteer as a chaplain's assistant, they have ceased chaplain services, for the time being. I understand the need to be careful in all of that, but the impact of this is going to be far-reaching, and I think we'll have some really interesting conversations about this starting tomorrow.
Same thing as on where my mother is. There's a note on the door that they don't want any visitors right now because of how frail their clients are.
Sure, absolutely.
But what does that say? It stops us from connecting with our loved ones. It stops to have these services being offered. I mean, where do we when and here's the thing: when are we gonna get the green light that everything's okay? If you turn on the news, it sounds like it's getting worse. So yeah, we definitely need to address this starting tomorrow. So be thinking about it, folks. Get your research together and come bring it to the show as you always do. Let's hear what Patricia has to say. And Patricia's in Charleston, West Virginia, St. Paul Radio. That's how you're listening. Hi, Patricia, and welcome.
Thank you, and let me extend my sympathy to you and to your friend Jackie's family.
Thank you.
It's never easy to lose someone we love, even when we believe that they have gone to heaven. And then you ask how often you think of heaven, and I think of heaven every day because my husband of 42 years passed away in 2017. So, I just, and I was struck by your saying that your friend's face was so radiant and so on. I was with my husband when he died, and it was just a few minutes before midnight, and his face was illuminated with the soft light when he died. And I know people probably think that's insane or something I just wanted to see, but it was. And I never saw him look more peaceful. So that's a great blessing, just to have seen that. But, you think every day, and the older I get, I'm 76, so obviously I do think about heaven, so I think about it every day. And I do have a question for you. I really would like to learn more about what we actually do know about heaven, and you probably know a good resource for that. And I know you studied angels, and I would like to know more about angels, but I don't want this New Age stuff that you pick up in the bookstore. I want to know facts and truth.
Right. Okay. Couple books, Patricia. First of all, we just want to say we're so sorry for the passing of your husband. We keep a prayer book of the living and the deceased, and we pray together as a family. If you feel comfortable, can we put your name already in because you're a caller? Can we add your husband's first name?
Certainly, Peter.
Peter. Oh, Peter and Patricia. I love that. Okay, so Patricia, thank you for your interest in the angels. And yes, there are several books that are phenomenal. And to get started, I would definitely recommend Joan Carroll Cruz's book, Angels and Devils. It is not New Age in any way, shape, or form. Joan Carroll Cruz, Angels and Devils. Also, Peter Kreeft's book, Angels and Demons, is a great book. All About the Angels. Father Paul Sullivan is a great book. And I believe Peter Kreeft did another book on heaven. I think I have it on my bookshelf somewhere. I could check on it. I know we're going to get asked a lot of questions on this, Patricia, so we're probably going to have Jeff Burson, our social media manager, post all of these book titles for everybody. I believe Peter Kreeft did a book on heaven as well. But, I will tell you something. Your interest in the angels is so, so important because it does help us understand more about what is awaiting us, what is ahead for us. And it's a beautiful thing. And so when you understand the concept of the angels and how God created the angels, we can understand more about our earthly existence and then our eternal existence as human beings, because they are spirit beings. So it's very interesting, and so I would definitely recommend that if you can get started on those books. I know that's not hard reading. I mean, you can get through it, and I would also keep them handy so you can look back because sometimes you have to recall things. What do you think?
Oh, I appreciate that. Yes, I'll get those books for certain.
Yeah, and Patricia, I echo
with you and your friend's family.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I echo the condolences that Debbie shared with you as well, Patricia. Thank you so much for your call from Charleston, West Virginia. We appreciate you joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And, Debbie, she mentioned, and so many people have, like you mentioned with your friend Jackie, she just never looked as beautiful, like she was radiant and peaceful right after she passed away. And Patricia mentioned the peaceful appearance that her husband had as well. And all we need to do is look at the lengths that God went to in order to get us to heaven. He sent his son to die for us, to die in the most excruciating death imaginable. Human mind can't even really imagine that. So our meeting with him ultimately should not be viewed as wrathful or vengeful. I can't imagine that God is more present to us at any time in our lives other than at the moment of our death, because he sent Jesus to die for us specifically for that reason, that he might fetch us for heaven, So I think if we have that mindset about dying and going to heaven, I think that would take away some of the sting of loss, although grief is very, very real. So anyway, I rambleth a little bit there.
No, you didn't. I thought it was excellent. It's good. It's good for all of us to hear. This is great conversation, Jerry, so thank you. Okay, take 2 with Jerry and Debbie, part 3 on heaven today.
This is Father Donald Calloway. Join me for our 33-day consecration to St. Joseph after the Rosary with Father Benedict Groeschel, tonight, 9:30 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
I'm Jerry Usher.
And I'm Debbie Georgiani. We want to tell you about the Inspired by Faith Book Club.
Join us as we gather together and read a featured inspirational book each month and engage in meaningful discussions together.
Want to participate? The details are simple and can be found at jerryanddebbie.com by clicking on the Book Club tab.
Invite your friends and let's spend some quality time in fellowship with the Inspired by Faith Book Club at jerryanddebbie.com.
Hi, this is an EWTN Bookmark Brief, speaking here with Father Edward Looney about his book, Our Lady of Good Help, prayer book for pilgrims. This is about a particular apparition. Which one?
Yes, in the United States, we're very blessed to have an apparition of Our Lady in Wisconsin, in my own diocese of Green Bay, in the village of Champion, commemorated at the National Shrine of Our Lady of Good Help. And Mary appeared to a Belgian immigrant, Adele Brice, in 1859 and told her she was the Queen of Heaven who prays for the conversion of sinners, to do the same, to offer communion for the conversion of sinners, and then to gather the children and teach them.
Right. Is there a website or someplace people go to?
Championshrine.org.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Father Edward Looney, for another book, Our Lady of Good Help, prayer book for pilgrims. And, of course, the book is available through our EWTN religious catalog. rc.com is a place for all great things Catholic. Check it out and check us out next time. Thanks for stopping by for this bookmark brief.
Dr. David Anders here. Where is purgatory in the Bible? Why confess my sins to a priest?
Find out more tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern on Call to Communion.
Now, back to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie.
Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie and you. This is your program. You make it what it is every day, and we're in part 3 of our discussion of how often you think of heaven. And the reason we're having part 3 is because of the beautiful thoughts and takes that you brought to the program last Friday and also yesterday. So we are in part 3 here, Debbie, and we still have a lot of people here to get to. I'm sure we can hopefully get to each and every one of them.
I hope so as well. I also got a couple texts coming in. You can always text us. You text the letters EWTN to 55000. If you want to text us, if you want to go on YouTube or Facebook and put your comment in there, Jeff Burson puts it on our screens for us to read, or you can email us take2@ewtn.com, and that comes right to us. I just want to say I got a couple texts during the break, Jerry, and people were saying that in addition to Father John and his beautiful ministry work, others they've had their ministries suspended as well. See, this is just not. There's something wrong with this. This doesn't feel right. And as a matter of fact, when I was heading over to the mortuary yesterday, I had there was a couple comments that came in from folks that said, are you nervous about going over into the mortuary? Because there's people there and there's lots of things. I said, not at all. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. There's something wrong with this, that if we have to start avoiding this, then this is going to be problematic for people in their times, in their time of need. Wouldn't you say, Jerry? This is scary, actually.
It's bothersome. I have had a few sleepless moments in the last several days over what's going on. So we'll initiate that conversation tomorrow about the coronavirus and just everything that's going on, the threat that it is, and things like ministries being shut down and so forth. We want to hear your thoughts on that. I'm going to say starting tomorrow, because I have a feeling that's going to go more than one show. But today we're talking about your thoughts on heaven. So let's get back to your calls, and we'll go to London, Ohio. Bernadine is listening on St. Gabriel Radio, and a first-time caller to Take Two. Hi, Bernadine. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Every Lenten season, I like to focus on one doctrine, and this year I'm focusing on the Beatific vision. And I didn't really know about it. This is a doctrine that hasn't been to the surface for quite a while, but I think it's getting a reversal these days. And so I got on the search engine and Googled it, and I received 10 pages of information as I Googled Beatific Vision Catholic. So this is all from, our faith. And it's been such a blessing. So it was a wonderful introduction to the vision for me, and I plan to continue to focus and meditate upon these 10 pages because, St. Paul says to keep our eyes on the prize. The prize is the beatific vision, to be in the very presence of God. And so I really think it's a worthwhile effort. Psalm 17:15, as Saint David prayed into the psalm, says, "As for me, I shall behold your face in righteousness when I awake. I shall be satisfied with your likeness." To behold your face in righteousness, it's really a depiction, isn't it, of what it will mean to stand before God in eternity. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the completion of our eternal happiness. Whereas now on earth, I think we are all seeking happiness, aren't we? And that will surely be fulfilled when we're face to face with our Lord.
Right. Okay, so couple things that this may assist in your spiritual growth in this area, which is wonderful, by the way. And so thank you for wanting to do this and putting your efforts to this and concentrating on this. Very important. And it goes back to Patricia's call about the angels. When we, the angels are the good angels. Let's talk the good angels. The good angels, they are in the beatific vision, and they are in the beatific, they're in God's presence at the same time, if you will. They don't go by time, but at the same time that they are ministering to us here on earth. That is why it is so important. Yeah, that is why it's so important for us to cultivate a relationship with our angels so that we can understand the beatific vision better. So you're spot on with this. Perfect. And I would encourage you definitely to go into, your guardian angel and your relationship with your guardian angel and the understanding of the ministry of angels and the choirs of angels, because it's fascinating, because when you tap into that and understand that better, you understand our own path. And it's really a wonderful thing. And it's a path, if I may say this, Bernadine and Jerry, it's a path without fear. And right now we're in a world of fear. Okay. And the dark side, okay, the bad angels, okay, the demons, they want us to be in fear. They want us to get as far away from any concept of the beatific vision as we possibly can be. So that's why we must strive like you are doing. And so thank you for doing that. And thank you for sharing your story, because it helps others to do the same, inspire others to be on that path and to get rid of fear, because fear is not of God. We have to remember that fear is not of God. Okay, any comments?
Absolutely.
Because I'm sorry, I'm on a roll here.
Yes. Well, Jesus on the cross, his last words were, "It is finished." He completed the work of offering his life, his passion, death, and resurrection, so that we can have this tremendous experience. Last year, I focused on the passion and death and resurrection of Jesus, and my husband had passed about 2 years before, and I was still in grief, but I was able, to really complete my grieving for the most part, to the point to where I could move back to London, where I worked at St. Patrick's Parish for 14 years, and I have a lot of friends here. So, hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, yeah, we're here. Yeah.
I didn't know if you were still there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
We just listened very closely.
Very nice. Well, what I experienced last year was such a wonderful gift to set me free from my grieving to where I can be active in ministry and leading prayer groups again. And so I'm really in a time of joy of my life. Mm-hmm. And when I finish this Lenten, I know my joy will even be increased. And it's for everybody. And, actually, when I searched for this, I did receive an image of all the angels. It looks like millions of angels circled around a beautiful light, which is where God is, because he is a spirit. Of course, Scripture says that if Jesus says that if you see me, you have seen the Father. And but he is spirit, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Bernadine,
God the Father you're talking about.
Yeah. It sounds like you probably listened to the show before. You may know that I say we, but Debbie keeps a book with the names of living and deceased. And if you, maybe you've already shared your husband's name with us during this call. I don't remember. But if not, if you're willing to share his first name with us, we'd be happy to include him in our daily prayers along with you.
How beautiful. Thank you so much. His name is Paul.
Paul. Oh, beautiful.
Great name.
He was active in ministry, too, when he was living. And I know St. Paul was an inspiration for him. So I have a little statue of St. Paul to remind me of him, too. So thank you for your prayers.
Thank you. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Bernadine. We appreciate the call so much.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. And go ahead, Deb.
Just these images, that Bernadine shared about the angels. The angels crowd us out at Mass. They are surrounding the altar. Okay, it's bursting. Saints have told us this. They've seen it. Okay, same thing that Bernadine was talking about. The angels are in the presence of God. They are in the beatific vision at the same time ministering to us. What a beautiful set of soul guards we have with us that are helping us get to that beatific vision. So Bernadine, thank you so much. We could do 10 shows on this.
Yes, I know. It's so exciting. Thank you for having this subject.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Bernadine. I think that's a great, you've given us all a great idea for Lenten practices, Debbie. Every year, take some doctrine or teaching of the church and just kind of focus your thoughts and your attention on that. And the beatific vision is certainly, one that we would do well to contemplate more often. St. Paul writes about, we see dimly now, but, when we see God face to face, it's going to be grand and glorious. And I'm paraphrasing very badly there, but we do have that to look forward to, thank God. So, okay, Kathy is in Raleigh, North Carolina, listening on Sirius XM 130. Kathy's a first-time caller, too, to the program. Hi, welcome to Take Two, Kathy.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to share something quite simplistic about my vision of what heaven is all about. When I was a young girl, my grandfather had some very serious surgery, and I don't know exactly what was going on during the surgery, but apparently may have been a very touch-and-go situation. And later, after the surgery, when Mother came home and we asked how he was doing, she said, "Oh, he was doing fine. It was a success." She said, "However, when I was in the recovery room with him and he woke up, he was really upset and very mad and kept saying, 'Why did you bring me back?' And she said, 'What are you talking about?' And he said, 'I was going to the most beautiful place.' He said, 'I saw the most beautiful colors and the most beautiful lights. It was the brightest color you could ever imagine in your life, and the brightness was unbelievably beautiful.' And, of course, it took her breath away. And I've just always felt that for whatever reason he came back. He did not go at that time, but that, in fact, that is what heaven is like, at least your first sight of it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kathy, this is interesting that you brought this up, because this is obviously not something that happens to everybody, probably not to that many people, in fact, but apparently it did happen to your grandfather. And I think that, God will sometimes allow that. And it's some of the saints talk about that. I think Debbie St. Catherine of Siena talked about she was actually given the choice, I think, by Jesus to stay in heaven or return to earth and try to save more souls. And even though she was sort of in the beatific vision, if not, completely in heaven, she chose to come back to earth and continue to live out her life, so that she would, she would have a greater impact and bring more souls with her. At least I've heard that story about St. Catherine. I would have to verify that. Maybe somebody can call in if they know about that.
Well, and
I was just, lots of stories. There have been lots of stories too about other people who have said similar things. We've all heard and read about that. But when I heard as a child from my own grandfather's mouth, I knew it had to be true. And I'm older. I'm well into my 70s, and I've got grandchildren, and that has always remained my vision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kathy, so, it's interesting, we're having this conversation after the weekend mass with the story of the Transfiguration. And it's so interesting because everybody has a different kind of take on it. The dazzling white of Jesus. And I've heard priests say, that's when Jesus was in communication with his Father, that light, if you will, that luminous, the expression of that was coming through Jesus. I've heard others say because Jesus was all divine and all human, that was, that's what brought forth that light. However you want to, I guess, theologically slice it and dice it, okay? The point of it is it's a true story. It happened. And that light is very bright. And that light is coming from God, right? We probably can all agree with that, right? And so it's very interesting that people who experience these very personal, extraordinary journeys of near-death experiences and stuff like that, some are proven, some aren't, some are, people, question it and everything. But it's very interesting how that light is the key component. And, we hear that back in Genesis, and God created, the light. It's everything is surrounded around that. And I think that has to somehow, it's worthy of us contemplating that. And that's why I've always loved the story of the Transfiguration. I've always loved it as a story to really sit and meditate on. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on that, Kathy?
Well, I completely agree. And I think, too, as you said, some of these stories have been proven to be true and some not. But I think when you know that someone who was so very, very ill and was certainly frightened, I'm sure, of having this surgery, but then the first thought of their mind was, and he wasn't groggy, his first thought was, "I'm so disappointed. Why did you bring me back?" And I'm sure that he was thinking that, they were just trying to do everything to bring him back. And I just found that so truthful to be his very first response. I believe that just had to be true and had to be the case.
Yeah. It sounds like it. What reason would he have to be making something like that up, Kathy? So I think that's a beautiful experience that you were given by God, and he was as well. Thank you, Kathy, for your call and for joining us. We have a blessed remainder of your Lent. We appreciate that. Debbie, we got an email from... It's from Lynn, and Lynn says, hello, Jerry and Debbie. This topic is so timely as I have been thinking of death and heaven for the past year or so. I have been reading good Catholic articles and books to help me understand, and I have been passing the information along. And then she says, would you please add my niece's name to your prayer book? So, Debbie, here you go. Her name is Julie, and she has been diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. She's a fallen-away Catholic, but is part of a thriving non-Catholic Christian church, so that does help as she is a strong believer. But needless to say, I wish she was with me in our Catholic faith. Many, many thanks for your prayers. That's from Lynn via email.
Lynn, please ask Julie to if she hasn't already developed her relationship with her guardian angel, especially going through this cancer diagnosis. Very, very important, folks. And you know what? Satan doesn't want us to have this relationship with our guardian angel. So think about that. If Satan doesn't want it, that means we should go towards it. Correct, Jerry?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead.
Do the promo. Do you want to do the promo?
Yeah, I was going to do that here. Let's see. I got to pull up my sheet here. I wanted to mention something about EWTN Radio Classics.
Oh, cool. Okay.
If I can find it. Do you have it in front of you there?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm in between doing funeral arrangements, believe it or not.
Okay, well, here it is. I got it.
Transparency here, folks. We're all about being transparent.
Should be able to do it without any paperwork here. But EWTN Radio Classics, it's a 24/7 teaching and devotional channel from the EWTN archives, featuring Mother Angelica, Archbishop Fulton Sheen, Father Benedict Groeschel, and more. And you will find them at EWTNradio.net, on the EWTN app, and also on your smart speakers. So listen to Radio Classics.
Okay, the Take Two family is hilarious. They're sending me, funny laughing emojis after I made that funeral comment. I'm not planning my own funeral yet, folks, just to let you know. Okay, Lori is up next in Toledo, Ohio, Annunciation Radio, first-time caller. Hi, Lori. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you, and to you and Jerry for your show. I appreciate it. And
thank you.
God speaks to us in many different ways, but if we're not listening, we don't hear it. And I think several years ago, I had a prophetic dream that, made some major differences in my life. And I was living a very, very simple lifestyle and trying to change. But I dreamt one night that I was being led to heaven, and I didn't see heaven, but I felt it. And the feeling was indescribable, happier than you could ever imagine, and it made me look back and say, I give up that in a heartbeat. There's nothing on earth, whatever sin, whatever, would be just a piece of cake to give up, knowing what this feeling is like. And then it disappeared, and I remember thinking, no, come back. And, just listening to the previous callers in the conversation, I think it probably was my guardian angel that led me to be able to experience that.
Wow. Lori, that is a great grace that you were given, because all of us have our weaknesses and sins and so forth, and like you say, none of them can possibly compare. I mean, I've often said that no sin, no matter how much pleasure it might bring us or what have you, is worth even a millisecond in hell, because the torment of hell is going to be that bad. But we shouldn't look at it solely from that angle. We need to look at it from the beauty and the glory and the joy that heaven is going to be like. And you had a little taste of that, and as you said, that kind of prompted you to abandon a way that you were living that I'm sure is now a lot more godly. So what do you think, Deb?
Oh, absolutely. You were given, I think you said it perfectly, Jerry, that great grace. And Lori, I agree with that. Our guardian angels are very active in our lives if we allow them to minister to us. And people pay thousands of dollars, the celebrities and politicians and everybody, to have bodyguards around them. We have the best body soul guards around us, and that is our guardian angel. And And we just have to go to the saints and look at their stories to realize it's true. And it's for all of us. Each one of us is given a unique, powerful guardian angel. And they want us to get to heaven. That is the key. They want us to get to heaven. So they will do everything that we pretty much, let them do or we're open for them doing. And they will minister to us gloriously and get us there. It's a beautiful thing to have that helper along the way, along the journey, so that we can make the necessary changes and get back on track and get closer to God in a very quick way, because we only have a short amount of time here. None of us know when we're going to be called home. So Lori, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story. Any last comments?
No, just that. I think it was a huge saving grace, and just thank God every day for it.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah, thank you for calling, Lori. And Debbie, this was on my heart before the program today, as we were talking about discussing coronavirus and just what's all the fear that's in the world and things going on. And I just wanted to say, I am no saint whatsoever, but I just encourage anyone, if you are in a sinful lifestyle right now, or you've got repetitive, mortal sins or something, forgiveness is always available to you. But this is a time for us right now. We have to take seriously our eternal destiny, whatever that's going to be. And we need to be on our knees right now. Folks, if you're not praying every day, start praying every day. 5 minutes, if that's all the time that you have. Spend 15 minutes, a holy hour once a week. Debbie, this is a time for us as individuals and collectively as a church to truly be beseeching God for his grace from heaven for everything that's going on, but especially if we are fooling ourselves and thinking that we're in a good place when we're really sort of justifying certain sins in our lives. So that was just on my heart. Yeah.
Absolutely. And can I just restate that in a formula, Jerry? Because everybody needs a quick path, okay? And you said so many things that I think I just need to restate them so people can start right now. Take a moment. If you're in a sinful lifestyle, sinful ways, sinful things are all around you, even stuff you're looking on the internet, pornography, something of that nature, anything like that, okay? You're not guarding your eyes properly, okay? Go to confession. You just heard Jerry say it, so true. Go to confession. Go to the Blessed Sacrament, sit in front of Jesus and spend some time. Start with 10 minutes, work your way up to an hour, okay? And then also cultivate your relationship with your personal guardian angel. And then watch what happens in your life. The changes that are going to be made are going to be made in such a beautiful way, because you will be free. You will be free, not in fear, but now you'll be free. I love it, Jerry. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm glad it was on your heart.
Well, blessed be God. Tony in Plymouth, Pennsylvania, listening on Sirius XM 130. Tony, we got literally about 30 to 45 seconds for you, but you were on hold yesterday, so we wanted to be sure we got to you. Hi, Tony.
Hi. Well, I had an experience from listening to the Catholic radio. A woman wrote a book, and the other one was interviewing her, and she said that we don't go to heaven, we receive heaven. And I was thinking about the Our Father. It says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, but you can't say thy will be done on heaven. And I had an experience with a monk in Georgia in 72. We were talking and stuff, and he said, when you enter the kingdom, you feel different. And I can't explain how I felt. And my mind came to my mind that the government is supposed to make things grow. And then several years later, I was talking to another monk about, Vilia, the Polish tradition, Christmas Eve dinner and stuff like that, and how nice it is. He says traditions are nice, legends and traditions are nice, because St. Joseph, the tradition is that St. Joseph died in the arms of Jesus and Mary. And when he said that, I felt what he said, being in the arms of Jesus and Mary, and this is the truth. I could not understand what the word fear meant.
Mm-hmm. Tony, you can hear the music. We're going to end the program here. I want to thank you for your call. And Graham, we're not going to get to you. I apologize. But we don't fully understand what it means to be in heaven or to go to heaven. There's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. We understand that. So we certainly ask God for the grace, all of us, Tony, to be in heaven with him and with all those we love. And we thank you for your phone call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Tomorrow, Debbie, we get started on our coronavirus discussion.
Yes, so please get your facts together, your research, your feelings, your thoughts, your fears. Bring them all to the table tomorrow. We're going to be talking about it, and we'll see how long it goes on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.
You've heard of the incredible shrinking man? This is Dr. Ray Gurendi. I am the incredible manly shrink. The doctor is in next.
In 1625, during a terrible plague, the people of Palermo